The Bills have found hidden gems, and they could be just the thing Buffalo needs for a serious Super Bowl run in 2025. Even though the spotlight tends to stay on stars like Josh Allen and James Cook, there's been a lot of new talent that's been a little bit under the radar. From a versatile receiver to an impactful lineman and a rookie cornerback, let's break down some of the Bills' most underrated players heading into the 2025 season. My name is Maeve Miller, and I'm a part of the Bills Digest team, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bills Digest, for all the latest updates. First, I want to talk about Joshua Palmer, who has definitely made a name for himself in the NFL. He is a four-year player out of the Chargers who's drafted in 2021, and he had put up some good numbers there. He wasn't their go-to guy, but I think this was a great move by the Bills to get him in the offseason because this does come at a time when there's been a lot of talk about the Bills wide receivers. On some of the podcasts, we've seen general manager Brandon Beane go on and voice his opinion because he feels that fans have been a little harsh on him and on the team because the Bills just do things a little bit differently with not having that one-star wide receiver. They really diversify it, and it goes to a lot of different players, so it's hard to have players come in that are okay with that. We saw issues like Stephon Diggs in the past, but I think this is a really good move for the Bills. They're bringing in just another strong guy that has experience. His stats are nothing crazy, but he's put up really consistent numbers and has just been a reliable player. We can see in seasons like 2023 and 2024, it was notable that he only had about 30 receptions, but he was able to put up over 500 yards. And in those seasons, he averaged 15 yards per carry, and even a little bit more than that, which is very impressive. And his touchdown numbers aren't anything crazy. We see them actually dropping a little bit over the seasons, but in his own words, he feels like he's getting better and is excited to play for Buffalo. And he's very strong at the route running. He's got great hands, and I think he'll be a good supplement with speedier players like Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir. And I think they all just bring different assets that will just all help the offense. And he'll be competing with players like Elijah Moore. And it's funny, they actually went to high school together, so he was excited about having a relationship with him. And I just I think that's cute when they're, friends back in the day, and now they have someone to kind of rely on when he's playing. And he recently appeared on One Bills Live, and it was very interesting. He got to talk about a lot of different things. And like I said earlier, one of the main things about the Bills and their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, is that they like to diversify it, and they have the everybody eats. It's not just one player that's going to be selfish. You can get the ball at any time, no matter the play. So he was asked about that, about his mentality going into that. And he said, if this whole mantra is everybody eats, then if I run a great route to pull the coverage, then I know my counterparts are also running great routes to get the ball. So if it's the case, everybody eats, even when you don't get the ball, you're still doing something to affect the whole team. And I think that mindset is great. I just think that's how it should be right now, that, unselfish players. So I really appreciate him coming on and saying that. And something else about Palmer, he grew up in Ontario, just an hour down the road. So I think he was excited to get back into that. And this whole podcast was just a great intro into who he was as a player, and especially in the context of the Bills. And he's been talking with Josh Allen and just getting more reps and connections. And we'll see that more in the preseason and post and once the season starts. But all in all, I'm really excited about this. I think it'll be nice to bring in another guy that's a strong wide receiver that does have a couple years of NFL experience. He did have a couple injuries in 2023 and 2024 with his foot and his knee, which caused him to actually miss a playoff game last season. But hopefully he'll stay healthy, and some of that competition with players like Elijah Moore and Keon Coleman, that'll just make them stronger. Next player I want to talk about is Alec Anderson, and he was also undrafted out of UCLA in 2022, and he's definitely been a quieter player that, like I said, stayed under the radar, but he was able to get some opportunities in 2024 because the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, likes to use a 6 lineman instead of the usual 5, and I think this has really elevated their offense as a whole because something that's changed from prior seasons is their running game and their offensive line. And, being able to protect Josh Allen, so it all kind of goes hand in hand. And with they've used a 6 lineman on over 140 plays, and have just been dominant on those. So I just think bringing in him as a kind of a hybrid blocker, it's really created better passing lanes and more protection for Allen. And on these plays, they averaged over 5 yards per carry, and that's just something that has really elevated their offense. And it's exciting to see that Allen doesn't have to do everything on his own. He has more protection and can hand the ball off, and also gives them more time for the passing. So Anderson, he's not the most flashy guy or well-known, but he definitely helps create passing lanes. It would protect Allen if the play ever got broken down. And I think that's kind of a unique move by the Bills to bring in a 6 lineman, but I think that's really helped. And hopefully this season, they did re-sign Anderson in February to another 1-year deal. So I think that's definitely a positive move, and hopefully running backs James Cook, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis can really utilize that, and our run game will stay strong. But yeah, I'm also excited to see what Anderson will do. I think our offensive line has been so strong. And all in all, our offense, I have like no complaints. Talking about, bringing in players like Josh Palmer and strengthening the offensive line, I think that's a great move and exactly the direction the Bills need to go in. And then this is on the defensive side. This is player Dorian Strong. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Bills, and he's a rookie, obviously. And I'm just excited to see what he brings. The Bills definitely need a little bit more help on the defensive side, so bringing in a quarterback and a cornerback. They did this in a couple of rounds. He's out of Virginia Tech, and he has a very impressive career there. He only allowed 9 catches on 33 receptions and only allowed 83 yards in his season, which is just like crazy. And he's one of the best passer ratings at just 11.6. So I think he's definitely an underrated player. Out of the 6th round, that's not anything like exciting, but the Bills have been known to have players like Christian Benford, who was drafted in way later rounds, end up starting over players that the Bills drafted in the 1st round. So combined, we had Dorian Strong that was in the 6th round, and then Maxwell Harrison in the 1st round. I think it's just very exciting, and Strong especially has a lot of elements that are utilized in McDermott's defense. Like, he has zone experience, he has very high IQ and instincts, and also has a lot of open field tackling. So all these traits just make him seem like he's going to be a great player for them. And there's videos of him and Harrison working out together and just, talking after the rookie minicamp. So I think this will be a really great duo, even though they're at very different draft levels. I think these players will make a huge impact on the Bills' secondary. And all in all, these 3 players, they might not be the flashiest or the most well-known, but I think having a combination of adding in a strong wide receiver, offensive lineman, and quarterback could just be very impactful. And it's sometimes those players that you don't think about that end up making a way bigger deal. Like Anderson, for example, bringing that 6th lineman has just opened up the Bills' passing game, and Allen was one of the most protected quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think small moves like that tend to fly under the radar are going to be what makes a big difference, and, maybe we'll be able to make it farther into the playoffs this year. But we'll have to see what happens in preseason and once the season starts. But for now, thanks for watching, and go Bills.